Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome back to the GM. It is your guy, Boulanger. Up next, who are the Baltimore Ravens untouchables? And who could be an NFL draft casualty? Let's talk. The NFL draft is 7 days away, next Thursday. And as we are in anticipation, just like all other 31 fan bases of who the Baltimore Ravens will add, there's been some conversation that the Baltimore Ravens could not and will not pick 11 players because there's just not room. Well, I don't think that's so accurate. I think that when you look at it and you say that there's not room, that means you're not taking in account who could be an NFL draft casualty. Well, what do I mean? It doesn't mean certain guys will be cut and or traded immediately during the draft or after the draft. It just simply means there could be a rookie coming in the door who could challenge a spot previously held by somebody who's vulnerable. Well, why are they vulnerable? Because they just have not been impressive or they just have not produced. When we look at the offensive side of the ball, there are some guys who are absolutely untouchable. Lamar Jackson, Derrick Henry, Justice Hill, Keaton Mitchell, all untouchable. Zay, Bate, D-Hop. And I think because Talon Wallace was newly signed, or re-signed rather, I think that makes him untouchable because he offers some different values, punt return, kick return, and then of course, he's a kind of a clutch catcher at the wide receiver position, right? When you look at the tight end position, I think Isaiah Likely is the only untouchable. All three are vulnerable simply because they are free agents next season or at the end of this upcoming season. But I think Isaiah Likely is the only untouchable. I think there could be a Mark Andrews trade. I've already said that there could be a trade even before the most recent talks being speculated from EDC's commentary. When you look along the offensive line, Stanley, Linderbaum, Daniel Falele. Yes, I said Daniel Falele is an untouchable, and Roger Rosengarten. Let me address Daniel Falele really quickly. I think he's untouchable. Why? Because you're not going to find a 19-game starter who was nominated as a Pro Bowler, no matter what we think about him. You're not going to find that in the draft, of course, nor are you going to find it on the streets right now of the NFL free agency. You're just not. And so, and because he has position diversity, he's going to be on this roster. He's going to be an untouchable. When you look at the defensive side of the ball, guys like Tavius Robertson, Meta BK, Travis Jones, all untouchable. I think Odafe for right now is untouchable. A guy like an Adisa Isaac, just simply because you haven't seen anything from him, he still has to validate his work. He's untouchable right now. Kyle Van Noy, untouchable. Roquan, he's the only linebacker that's untouchable. I think a guy, of course, Kyle Hamilton, Awuzie, Wiggins, and Marlon Humphrey, all untouchable. But then, if those guys are untouchable, then who's vulnerable? Now, I don't have all of the guys currently under contract in my memory, but there are some guys who are vulnerable. Offensive line, I think Voorhees is vulnerable. Why? He hasn't shown anything. He played about 3 or 4 games last season, got hurt, could not regain his starting position over Patrick McCarry. And just because Patrick McCarry has vacated the left guard position, that does not guarantee Voorhees is the starter. I don't know why we keep trying to make him the go-to when we haven't seen anything from him. I think he's vulnerable, especially if they draft well. And there's a guy who shows up during rookie minicamp, that he continues to validate his position or his value as the offseason workouts go on. Voorhees is vulnerable. I think that Ben Cleveland is vulnerable, although they brought him back. It's a low-end, non-guaranteed deal, and I think he's vulnerable as well. And of course, we know we lack depth at tackle, and we lack quality depth at guard. So I think those two guys could be vulnerable. I think Rashawn Ali is vulnerable at the running back position. I think the Baltimore Ravens will take a running back in this draft. It's a deep draft class. It goes about 15 uh, deep quality running backs. And I think they could nab one for sure, especially with the questions surrounding Derrick Henry's contract. I think when you look at the tight end position, like I mentioned earlier, Mark Andrews is vulnerable. I think Charlie Kolar is a lock just because you're not going to replace two tight ends going into this season. But I think Mark Andrews is definitely vulnerable. So we just opened up four or five spots right there. Defensively, I think Project Washington could be vulnerable. He has taken a step back since he's gotten his new deal. He could be vulnerable. Even if it's a draft and cap casualty, he could be on the go. Right? I think David Ojabo, who's done nothing in a Baltimore Ravens uniform, is vulnerable. He's vulnerable to lose his job to a draft pick. Even if he is a draft day trade, right? That's still a draft casualty. I think it's time to stop waiting on him to develop in 3 years. Well, and of course we understood he couldn't do anything his first season, but in 3 years he showed just a few flashes, but that's it. And we can't keep holding the door open and he never really walked through. I think in the secondary, Bo Braid is vulnerable. I think Sanusi Kane is more of a lock only because of his special teams play. But I think Bo Braid could be vulnerable, especially if the Baltimore Ravens go with a safety in the early rounds. Because Bo Braid, Kane, and Kyle Hamilton are basically strong safety box kind of safeties, although Kyle can do a whole host of things. And Ardarius Washington will be the only free safety. So I do see them adding a free safety in the draft and maybe even in late free agency. So I think Bo Braid is the most vulnerable at the cornerback position. JAD is vulnerable. I know I heard people talk about when he's played, he's been good, but when has he played? You see what I'm saying? So I think these guys are vulnerable. So let's not mistake and think that the Baltimore Ravens could not draft 11 players. Now, my prediction is that they will turn those 11 players into 9 and have 9 guys coming in the door. I do not see them taking all 4 picks in the 6th round. I think some of those are doubled up and turned into 5th round or 4th round picks. And I do see a potential that they trade back and grab some extra picks and try to claim a couple of extra dudes in the 2nd or in the 3rd. So that's my thoughts, man. I think, like I said, we have some untouchables, but we absolutely have some guys who are vulnerable. I'm having this quick conversation only because I got one more mock coming up with a trade up. It's just a 2-round mock draft with a trade up in the 1st round. And then I have a mock draft with a trade back, which is the one I had been showing you guys in the lives. So those are my only 2 mock drafts left. And then I also have a conversation I'm going to have with you guys live where I mock the entire AFC North. And so, man, that's what I got for you guys today. Let me know who you guys think could be vulnerable and become a draft casualty. I'm your guy, Boulanje. This is the GM, and we're out.